Building, fortunately, nobody was hurt there. But these lithium-ion battery fires are a growing problem here in New York City. The FDNY says the incidents happen almost daily now. So what are other cities doing to prevent these types of fires? We asked investigative reporter Dan Krauth to check it out.
We've seen an explosion of e-battery fires. More happening in New York City than anywhere else in the country.
We're getting them almost every day.
80 fires so far this year, some of them deadly. Compare that to cities like Los Angeles and Seattle, where only a dozen each have been reported. And many cities like Houston don't even track them.
We're tracking every time we have one of these.
We had to look across the pond to London, England, to find another city in the same deadly situation.
We're up to round about one fire every 2 days in e-bikes or e-scooters.
They've launched a Charge Safe campaign and took action underground, banning all e-bikes and scooters in the tube, where the flames and smoke can be especially dangerous in small spaces, and people have no way to get out.
When you consider like a metro or subway system, if you have a fire there with open carriages, you have nowhere to go.
There's a similar concern here locally. The MTA took action last month not to ban them.
Instead, they're banning people from charging them on board. A bigger concern on commuter trains, where there are some outlets for people to plug in e-bikes and scooters.
But it doesn't prevent people from bringing them onto the subway. The policy states they have to be powered off first.
In the news, every kind of incident that we've heard where these things go on fire is when somebody's charging them. We can't have that happen on a train.
The city's fire marshal says fires are not only limited to devices that are charging. The e-battery in the fatal fire in Queens last month was charging at the time it went up in flames. But the battery fire that leveled a Bronx supermarket was not.
It doesn't really fit the narrative that these things are from delivery workers and they're charging it at all times is not always the case.
With limited space, the city's promoting the use of the devices as an alternative way of getting around and doesn't want to affect the livelihood of the more than 60,000 delivery workers who use them.
Who's going to police this? Who's going to make sure that they're not actually plugged into the wall? And in some cases, they have exploded when they're not being charged.
That's a concern. The first line of defense would be the conductors, to say, hey, you can't do that.
City leaders are also on the defense, passing a new law banning the sale of uncertified and unregulated batteries, even though people can still buy them online, a problem all cities are facing worldwide.
So this is a good first start, but the MTA is not beyond tweaking this policy later on down the line.
As for the no charging policy, a lot of people don't know about it. The policy just went into effect a few weeks ago. Brinkman wants signs installed throughout the transit system to let people know it exists in the first place. Dan Krauth, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Totally agree with you. It is